it's Hayden here. It's another episode of the Man in the Mirror podcast. It's a podcast where each week I talk to a male guest about their work, about life, about some of those key products on their bathroom shelf, and also what they think about the man that stares back at them in the mirror. Now, recently I was, I think I was served an ad on Instagram. I think it was something like that anyway, and it piqued my interest. And it was a company called Brother Earth who were doing a Kickstarter for some male toiletry bathroom products with sustainability really at the heart of the idea. So I investigated a bit further. I ordered on Kickstarter, and it also prompted me to try and get in touch with the founders just to find out a little bit more about the people behind it and the idea itself. Hence this week's podcast. I'm talking to Henry Wesson, who is one of the co-founders of Brother Earth, who are a British bathroom products brand for men, but with circularity and sustainability very much central to what they're trying to do, to use, the least amount of packaging possible, but to have a kind of premium product that's doing good. So we'll talk a little bit more about all of that with Henry. So without further ado, it's Henry Wesson, who is one of the co-founders of Brother Earth, who's with me, Hayden Williams, on the Man in the Mirror podcast. Let's go. Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Henry Wesson, who is the co-founder of Brother Earth, which is a series of bathroom products that have sustainability at the heart of what they do. And I saw the brand, as I explained in the intro. I saw it on Instagram and signed up for the Kickstarter, and I really enjoyed using the product. So I wanted to say hi to Henry. Hi, Henry. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Hayden. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Look, thank you for making time to do this morning. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Pleased to be up.
Oh, it's great. And it's, so I guess it's early days with Brother Earth. And as I explained in the introduction a little bit about what it is, but I'd love to know from you, where did the idea come from? How did this all come about, this idea of Brother Earth?
Yeah, I think it's always interesting, isn't it? Like there was, certainly for us at least, there was no kind of eureka moment, right?
Right.
I had been interested in sustainability. It's always been a focus for me. I've always been into the kind of outdoors and looking after the outdoors, et cetera, but never really never made it any kind of professional focus. And I had made an effort a few years ago to try and transition to kind of zero plastic products in the bathroom. Kind of, I think it was just pre-lockdown. It just felt like the right thing to do, give it a bash. And it proved to be a real drag. The products weren't great. I couldn't really find any.
And were you doing that thing of sort of finding those shops that would refill, taking a container and getting refillable stuff? Is that what you were up to?
I mean, kind of. I mean, I have a bit of a fundamental issue with refill. It just makes life more difficult. Got relatively little time to be spending on those kind of activities.
Right. So, yeah.
Trying to sidestep the refill thing if I could. Really, we were looking, I was just online, like what kind of websites, and there's a number around there. But even once we'd been through that process and I finally found the 8 products that I wanted to swap, actually the first set weren't great. It was really mixed quality. They ended up coming in a load of plastic anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of just a really frustrating process.
Pointless.
Yeah, exactly that, right? And so we went through that, and then, but despite chatting to a couple of people about it, never really managed to excite anybody else's interest in this as a project. So kind of forgot about it. And then earlier last year, I was chatting to a friend, Nick, who's one of the co-founders, about, we were both looking at moving out of our existing careers. And I said, listen, I still think this is important, right? The importance continues to increase. And I don't really see any solutions now that I didn't before either. And so that became really the genesis of, okay, well, let's explore it. Let's see where it takes us. Which kind of is how, two people with no real background in the space ended up launching a range of 4 products in one go, 12 months later.
But maybe sometimes it's one of those things where it's useful to have that outsider perspective, and, you can cast your gaze across the industry and and see a solution. So you have, Henry, do you have two co-founders in Brother Earth? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So the missing character is Andy Smith. And so the three of us were been friends for years and years and years, really. So in kind of late teens, early 20s, Andy and Nick were in Scouts together, which makes them sound cool. And
they were doing their environmental badge or something.
Probably, fiddling with their woggles, I've no doubt. And then we all met up in the kind of early 20s in London, actually, and we did a lot of kind of outdoorsy things together, right? Because they came from that scouting background. They'd actually made a great bunch of mates who were really into organised fun, and so would organise weekends away, kind of orienteering, mostly drinking and hanging out as friends. So that was kind of a bit of our early 20s. And so when Nick and I were pulling this together, it was clear that the kind of particular big missing skill set was around the kind of marketing space. And Andy comes from a growth marketing background. From like, well, two's
Get him on board.
Yeah, two's good, three's better.
And what's your background, Henry? What were you doing before?
Yeah, so I worked in supply chain. So I've been a management consultant for kind of 15 years. I came from the energy industry originally.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then moved into management consulting and had done that for 10 years. And that kind of, I guess, exposed me to a lot of the kind of supply chain considerations and sustainable supply chain challenges that big businesses face.
Mm.
Kind of seen how slow and turgid those big organizational supply chains are and why they don't move as quickly as you really feel like they should be able to. If you think about Unilever, make such a big fuss about, their sustainability goals and the direction of travel and all this stuff. But, well, that was 15 years ago now, and still it feels like
slow.
Full of plastic and waste. Why is it so difficult to make progress? So having seen a lot of that was a big driver. So coming out off the back of that, I've seen why it is so hard for those businesses to move forwards and why actually starting from a blank sheet is a real advantage when making that kind of change.
Yeah, and you can be quick and nimble and do things your way. So I guess, we're all getting, people interested in the podcast and like me, sort of it is a guilty thing where there's lots of, product. I'm fortunate enough, lots of products come across my desk and I want to try different things, but there is a huge amount of waste and it's often plastic it's either just plastic or it's stuff you've got to separate out. And I suppose, I can feel okay about the fact that I stick it in my recycle tubs or whatever it is, but it just does feel like an inordinate amount of waste. And I suppose there's this slight incremental shifts now where, certain supermarkets might sell you a sort of a pouch, that you can pour into the main bottle or whatever, but still that doesn't feel especially satisfactory. And you're still creating more waste. And a lot of this stuff the onus seems to be on as you hinted at earlier, the onus is kind of on the consumer to do a lot of the, the heavy lifting stuff. And I've got to remember to put this stuff here and that stuff there. But what you've got with Brother Earth seems, much more compelling and much more interesting. So can you tell me a bit about, so if people order the box, what do they get and what's inside there?
Yeah, so we really felt that the goal, so our goal was to reduce plastics, right? And we felt that in order to achieve that, we had to do a couple of things. We had to make it super, super easy for consumers, right?
Yeah.
Because we knew for ourselves that exactly as you said, right? As soon as it gets a bit complicated, the chances of you continuing to do it in the long term, pretty slim. You might switch once, but it falls away really quite quickly. So we knew we had to make it easy and we knew we had to make it really, really, really good quality. And the quality question was one of how do we make sure that we're asking people to do something different, right? People inherently are a little bit suspicious of different.
Yeah, we get into habits, don't we, I think, with all this stuff?
Yeah, for sure, right? And we all do it, and it's all part of everybody's kind of behavioral DNA. So we knew we had to do something really exceptional in quality, and we also, and because we were moving formats as well, again, we had to battle against all of the kind of legacy and history that format brings. So moving from bottles to bars is one of the really big transitions that we made. And from a consumer point of view, you then got to look at, bars historically, everybody kind of remembers the one on the side of the bath at your grandson.
Yeah, or the one on a rope.
Yeah.
I'm older.
No, and that's right. And they were all a bit drying, and they made you feel a bit like it just wasn't great, right?
Yeah.
And they were hard and a bit scrubby. And so, within all of those things, we had to do a lot to make sure that the consumer got something really, really compelling from what we were offering to overcome some of those barriers. And that was our goal. So, what we designed going bottom up from a circular perspective was the absolute minimum amount of packaging to achieve the outcomes that you need. And then we set about making sure each of those products met a standard that's probably higher than the price point should describe, because we knew we had to achieve something greater than just meeting the market standard.
I suppose, like you say, if it's not good enough just for it to be okay, because you're asking people to make quite a shift, aren't you? So if you go, it's all right, but it's not as good as my, X thing in a plastic bottle, then you've kind of lost the battle, haven't you, I suppose? So it's got to be good.
Yeah, and I think, the point about the product design, and, you asked about what's in the box. So we have a shampoo, solid state shampoo, so a solid bar shampoo. We have a solid face and body bar, so kind of body wash. We have a deodorant, so a solid stick deodorant. And then we have a toothpaste. And all of those products are kind of natural first. So they're designed using as many natural ingredients as possible because they have a lower environmental footprint. But we're not, hidebound by that natural concept. It's just that we think that as from a design principle, it's an important one to have. But then for each of those, so the bars come in tins, so the metal tins, super handy for keeping in the shower. They look after your bar and we keep it in great shape. They're also very transportable.
I was thinking that great for taking to the gym or for traveling as well, aren't they?
Yeah, massive. And that for us, we're big, we're really active. We come from the outdoors environment. I surf a lot. I love going swimming to stay in shape. So I'm in and out of the swimming pool. So having something you can take with you was a big part of that. And that's a real step on from a lot of the kind of, if you take a big body wash with you in the bottom of your bag and it leaks, whatever else, those are just kind of classic issues that you get using the kind of liquid format. So not only was it a big environmental step forwards, it also made a big difference in terms of the usability as well, which has been really gratifying.
Yeah, and so I've had the products. I mean, I said, as I said, I bought it on the Kickstarter, and I say it's a behavior change for me to be using the bar as a shampoo, but I've really been enjoying it, and I think having that tin, as you say, the sort of legacy ideas of this slightly drying, sad-looking bit of soap that gets, sadder and sadder as the weeks go on and dries out, all those horrible ones we used to have in school. It's not like that at all. And the fact that you can protect the whole bar in the tin, and I've found the formula really easy to use and really effective. So it seems like it's working really well.
On that point, right? And so one of the really big, so I talked about the fact that we always felt we had to meet a higher quality point than the existing products on the market. And where we got to with that was, what can we borrow from the premium end of the market and bring into the kind of mass premium price point that we're at so that we can actually stand out there? And in the bar space, and it's true of other liquid products as well, but particularly in the bar space, what we did was add back in a lot of the conditioning agents that have traditionally been taken out.
Yeah.
So the superfats, so we've been adding back in plant glycerides back into those bars. Both bars have got a much higher percentage than you would get in a traditional bar and higher than you would typically get in traditional shampoo products. More in line with you find at the premium end of the market. So that's why it feels great, right? That's why if you're showering daily, right, because you're going to the gym a lot, right, it keeps your hair feeling really fresh and conditioned. It looks after your skin in a way that those other products often can be drying. And so that's the big step on.
And do you think is some of that to do in the traditional bottled shampoo products? Do you think some of those things are taken out because some of those companies are trying to get you to buy another, separate conditioning product, so that's one more bottle? Is there some of that in there?
Yeah, right. So they take those expensive components out of their shampoos and their body washes and put them into other higher value products that they can sell for a greater margin, right? Like, it's fine as a business model. That's great if that works for you, but that's not where we're at, right? We want to sell less of our products to ensure that we have less packaging and less waste.
Yeah.
We want that experience to be absolutely amazing.
With the starter set I've got, obviously the idea is that once I come to the end of those bars or I come to the end of the deodorant, then you obviously don't send out the tins again, but I can buy those products individually as just a bar. So therefore it's much more environmentally friendly.
Yeah, that's right. So it should just be a simple case of reaching for reorder, right? We've got, as soon as you go online, you can see it there. We've got the starter set, which brings you the tins. But if you want to replenish those bars, you just hit the button, they'll come out. They come out in their absolute minimum packaging that we can manage. They should be lasting you kind of 60 to 90 days, which is a bit longer than you would typically get with a lot of bottled products.
Yeah.
And just to try and keep that footprint as low as possible, right? Less shipping, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just looking at the deodorant now, Henry. Am I right in thinking, I mean, it looks to me like it's all card and paper and obviously the deodorant itself, but there's nothing else in there, is there?
No, right. So the deodorant is in a cardboard tube. The cardboard's been treated. We did quite a lot of work in developing that cardboard tube. A lot of the tubes on the market, back to that point about when we were first trying to understand what was available, the tubes we found were kind of flimsy. They started to break up in the bathroom. They were a bit frag.
Yeah.
So we did a bit of work on kind of taking what was there, getting a firmer product, smoothing those edges so it felt nicer on the underarm. But at the end of the day, it's biodegradable, right? We wanted something that you could, instead of it going into some kind of recycling that may or may not be recycled, etc., actually something that just goes straight into the biodegradable pile, right? It breaks down over 6 months and then you never have to see it again. So it's a single-use product, but it's one that has an absolute minimum footprint.
That's great. Well, look, we'll talk about Brother Earth a bit later, no doubt. But as always, I like to ask my guests about products that you're enjoying using and products that are in your morning and evening routine. So it'd be great to hear. No doubt as you got into this industry, I guess you did lots of research and found things that you liked and didn't like. And I'm particularly interested to talk about some of this with you, Henry, because I'm imagining there things like sustainability and getting good quality products are going to be important to you. So yeah, what about your morning routine? I'm sure it includes some Brother Earth products, but what else would you have on your shelf or in your bathroom?
Do you know, this is such a great question because I was saying to Rachel, I'm not exactly sure. So Rachel, my partner, I was like, why is my morning routine? She's like, you absolutely love a shower. Like shit.
It's always good to hear. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, I do. She's like, no, more than most.
Oh, right.
Right. And then I got to thinking, I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like you kind of realise that as part of your routine, the shower or, the time in the bathroom plays a massive role, right? Like,
yeah. Is she meaning you spend like longer in the shower than normal or you just have more of them? Or what is it about the shower that you love?
I thought it best not to ask for specifics.
Fair enough.
But then, I think she was referring to the fact that I quite often refer to it. I'm going to go and leap in the shower as the basis for this motivation. But
it suggests enjoyment and excitement.
Yeah. Yeah, no. But then, like, you think about what an important role it plays in your day. Like, as part of your routine.
Yeah.
It starts every day, or for a lot of people, it starts every day. Yeah. It bookends the most fun things you do, right? So you go out for a run. You get wet and cold. Like almost the best thing about that activity is getting in a hot shower afterwards.
Yeah.
And feeling amazing. Like it's the bit before you go out for an amazing night out that you've been looking forward to all week. Like from a routine point of view, like when I was kind of like thinking through it, like it's a big, big part of your day and it probably gets less attention than...
No, I think you're right.
Maybe it warrants.
Let's salute the humble shower,
Yeah, big time. And I think, the other reason why that struck me is because I don't have a big product routine, right? I have I have a pretty basic set. So those 4 products that we put into our box, were really the 4 products that we feel that everybody uses, right? There's a number of the products that people use, for whatever reason in different contexts and are all great, but those are the 4 that everybody uses. 90% of people use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But other things that we found, so extensive research, we found loads of great products, right? It's not to say there isn't good products in the market that meant that we went out to build our own. But some real standouts from a shaving perspective, the leaf razor, you must have come across this.
Yes. Yeah. Really good.
Beautiful engineering.
Yeah.
Like a really lovely product, reusable, disposable blades, no plastic. Like that was a stumble. Lifejacket, relatively new brand.
No, I don't know Lifejacket.
Yeah, they're cool. So they did, they've got a really nice SPF moisturizer.
Oh, okay.
I like to use. I was a bit late to the SPF moisturizer party, but
yeah, me too.
It's because we'll pay the price.
Yeah.
And that's a good one, right? And I think what they do is nice. I think the way they do it is good and it's important. And they talk a lot about the importance of the health implications for SPF as well, which always feels big. And then E45 is my moisturizer.
Yeah.
Daily, I get quite dry skin because I do a lot of time in the pool.
And you're outside quite a lot as well.
Yeah. So I use that. That's kind of, and then I suppose my one really kind of luxury product is the Acqua di Parma.
Yeah.
Which I love it. The scent is
fragrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Which do you know which one you use?
I haven't got any at the moment. No, we had it was the moisturizer and the shower gel, and it came off the back. We went to a smart hotel in Amsterdam actually, and we were given it and I've bought it since just because it's.
But that classic Colonia kind of barbershop Italian thing that Acqua di Parma. I'm a big fan of the brand as well, but it does feel like a real sort of luxury moment, doesn't it? That as soon as you kind of spray it on, or you've got some of their Barbier range in the bathroom, it smells beautiful, and it's instantly feel like you're in the Italian Riviera, doing something glamorous.
Totally. And that one, yeah, it for me, it associates very much with kind of an early date, an early week.
Yeah, exactly. You've got them sort of memories that go alongside it, which are nice.
Yeah. Beautiful, great.
And I suppose, of course, as much as you're talking about sort of refining the amount of products that you have on your shelf or that you use in your routine, which is completely valid and right. But I suppose, there's still opportunity for moments of pleasure and luxury somewhere along the line. It doesn't all have to be kind of, all about doing good all the time, because everyone's going to have things that they find essential for them, or just brings them moments of joy or happiness, right?
Yeah, for sure, right? And there's so many of those, and they're different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, our kind of principle was there are some things that should be relatively easy to switch, right? That don't cost you too much in terms of your lifestyle. And the bathroom is, or at least particularly the shower, is one of those spaces, right? So the products often aren't premium products in there, yet there's an awful lot of plastic. The price is paying the plastic. So that felt like an easy space to make a change without radically changing what you do every day. Like some real progress without actually, I can't remember the number, it's something like, so I did write it down. It was 200,000 tons of plastic used by men alone in the bathroom.
Wow.
Per year. So if you can chip away a third of that, right, it makes a big difference without you necessarily changing your products. There are parts of the global markets that find it really, really difficult to shift plastics, right? So foodware, because it extends the life of products so well, etc., it's really, really difficult to shift it out. But in the bathroom, those requirements aren't as high. Therefore, the barrier to shift plastic out should be lower. So it's easy to be done. Let's get it done, right?
Yeah.
I think the truth will be for the products that we also think of as like mainstays and luxuries in the bathroom, they should also be able to switch.
Yeah. And you're right. And, and as we alluded to at the beginning, you're seeing some of those big beauty brands and products, there's there's changes afoot, and some of them are making some slow incremental changes. Of course, we'd all like them to do it faster. And I suppose, more at the luxury end, if you're talking about fragrances or products that cost hundreds of pounds, there's another factor in there of, there's a whole other dimension in terms of luxury. Not that it should all be about packaging, but it is a factor, isn't it, of a beautiful vessel or a glass or whatever it might be for fragrance, or those brands have got to start thinking about how do we make changes there. And if someone's spending hundreds of pounds, what are you getting? But I mean, it's a whole other thing. But you're right, and you will see, getting more and more press releases from those brands and those luxury brands about initiatives they're making. Are they going as fast as they can? That's another question. But you're right, everyone's going to have to start considering it, because as you said, the amount of, we're getting more and more, we can't claim anymore that we're not aware of the damage that microplastics and bigger plastics are doing to the planet. I mean, it seems to be on, it's either on a documentary or it's on the news every night. So we all need to do our bit. But I think what's so seems to be working so well with Brother Earth is that you're not asking people to, it doesn't seem to be some big onerous thing that you've got to take on. It's yes, it's a shift to using a bar rather than a plastic container, but that's it really. There's not some big complicated process to go through, and it sounds like that's going to be the best way, isn't it? Making it as easy as you can for the consumer to make those changes to be better for the planet.
I think so, and the point about the kind of luxury end of the market, right? And it's not one I know well or understand well, right? And my kind of limited forays into it, it's fantastic for what it is. But starting to see, I don't know if you know the brand Subtract.
No.
Ladies, it's a women's brand, and they do kind of solid state moisturizers, solid state cleansers, and things like that. And the product set is fantastic, right? And it is very much a premium solution, and similar principles are at work there. And I feel like there is.
I think it's happening
to the market. Yeah, I do, really do. And I think I don't think it's a negative adjustment, right? I don't think it's a decrease in the product experience. I think it's just a change in the product experience, and in some way, an improvement. So it'll be fascinating to watch how quickly that picks up as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've started to see it in some of the big department stores. Some of the brands are doing, sort of refill stations now, where you take your bottle back and it gets refilled, all of which, is great and makes perfect sense. But I suppose, again, there's the logistics of that, and are they going to be able to stock all of the different, say we're talking about fragrance, are they going to be able to stock all of the lines? And that also requires me to travel to wherever it is into the city centre to do it. So it's I guess it's a sort of imperfect solution, but again, it's this sort of shift that these brands know they need to be doing something.
Yeah.
Whilst, again, like all this stuff, whilst at the same time, the whole industry is predicated on getting you to, buy new stuff, buy more stuff, buy this new fragrance. And so I was guilty of it as the next person. But that's the difficult thing as well, isn't it? When do we have enough? I guess, it's different with the kind of the daily toiletries and things that you use every day and replace. But I suppose there's that other dimension to it when you're talking about more of the sort of luxury items that you use occasionally. It's a bigger question of how many of them do you need, and when should you replace? Anyway, it's probably for another time. But you talk on the website about this idea of circular design, and I'd love to understand a little bit more what that means for you and Brother Earth.
Yeah, so I think circular design was just a really interesting and is a really interesting movement that is taking a lot of the concepts that underpin sustainability and building them into a kind of philosophy that works right across policy, or social engagement, across supply chains and across regulation. It takes really the kind of reduce, reuse and recycle aspects that everybody kind of is pretty familiar with.
Yeah.
And just embeds them in a philosophy that works for product design. So it really starts with the idea that design is the point at which all of your other impacts get built in. So if you can start from a point of view where your design has the absolute minimum amount of resources required to deliver end-to-end that product life cycle, then you're in kind of a perfect scenario. And that was the case for Brother Earth. We were able to get in, do the design work from the principle of what's the minimum, and then we're able to do everything else to make sure the consumer got what it wanted from it too.
I see. Okay. And you have a partnership with a company called Clean, or a charity called Clean Hub.
Yes.
Who are Clean Hub? What do Clean Hub do?
Yeah, Clean Hub are a fantastic organisation. They're a German organisation, and they're one of a number actually emerging that are looking at the kind of post-consumer plastics world and trying to figure out how there's an enormous amount of plastic still being generated, and there's a huge amount of plastics ending up in the environment. How do you actually then start to take some of that back out? So making from being at best, a lot of businesses are net negative. This is to say, well, actually, if we can take out more plastic than you're putting into the environment, you can become net positive, or at the very least become net neutral.
Right. And does money from, when people purchase at Brother Earth, does money go to Clean Hub? Is that, or do you make a donation? Is that how it works?
So for every product, in our case, for every product in that box, or for every refill that you do, we'll take out yet another product from the environment. So for Brother Earth, that means every product removes 2 plastic bottles from the environment.
Yeah, that's great. And what does the future look? I mean, I know it's really early for Brother Earth. Do you think it will remain as a sort of online purchase, or do you want to get it into physical retail? How do you see it going?
I mean, I think we're driven from the point of view of reducing plastics. That's why we've gone for a mass premium market space, because we get it into the most number of people's hands. The absolute bargain market is too difficult.
Yes.
So for us, I think it does make sense that we'll end up in retail, because that's probably still the biggest one. It definitely is the biggest buying channel.
Yes.
So that's where we'll end up. But as you say, very much at the point of view, at the point now where we're online only, and just seeing kind of how far we can go.
And do you think you'll be adding more? I mean, it's not the sort of philosophy that you have and the way you've approached these products. I know you're saying it's sort of, you wanted to have the sort of minimum number of products in a routine, but can you see this philosophy extending to more products in the range?
I think so, definitely. I mean, the obvious one is the SPF moisturizer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like the right thing to kind of close that set. But I don't think we'd ever rule out other products, right? As long as people are using them, reducing the impact they have across their life cycle, reducing that's all to the good, right? So
yeah.
It's not a criticism. If you're using those products and you get value and you enjoy those products, then great. Let's find a way to minimize the unnecessary impact of them.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. We're going to look forward to seeing what happens in the months ahead with Brother Earth. I always also like to ask my guests, as the name suggests of the podcast, what you think about when you look in the mirror, when you're having your extended morning shower and everything and getting ready. What's your view of kind of self-image and what looks back at you in the mirror, Henry?
It's such a good question. I love it.
It's a big one. I know,
isn't it? Existential.
I know, right?
Existential closing.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm 40 years old. I suppose there's a degree of vanity there.
I think we all have it, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Oh, I think so. I don't know who that person is who doesn't. But so, I kind of like having a little look in the mirror, seeing how we're getting on. Bit of a smile, bit of a chat to the man in the mirror.
So do you think you'd ever be someone that, if they got to a point where you sort of say, oh God, I'm looking, if you felt that there was something that you would do, would you ever get to a stage where you go, I'm going to do some tweaks here or have any kind of procedures? Do you think you'd get to that stage, or are you kind of happy with what's been given to you?
No, I don't think I could ever go that far. I think as despite the vanity, it's the pleasure. People look great because they are people, not because of their look. It's it's the package that makes something amazing. It's never just the thing that comes back from the mirror, right? all the things going on behind the eyes. So no, I would probably try and avoid that, because what's, changing the mask.
Yeah, but it sounds to me like, from what you said, you're obviously someone that's interested in well-being and keeping fit and getting out and doing stuff. So I guess that's a big part of who you are, and keeping yourself, trim and fit and healthy, right?
And sane.
Yeah, you're really into it.
Exercise.
Would you go out a few times every day or a few times a week? Or?
I try and get out a couple of times a week. To be honest, though, it really, for me, I was never into it at all, right? I was, for all my 20s and most of my 30s, never showed any real interest in that. But, a bit of kind of, I know it sounds so hackneyed and tired these days, but I've got a bit of burnout. And one of the kind of the fixes for that for me was exercise, getting back out.
Yeah,
into the outdoors, right? And that made a big difference. And so I don't find the exercise a chore, because it's so kind of directly relatable to my mental health. So,
well, that's key, isn't it? So you make it part of your routine and it's something you enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And finally, Henry, and I ask guests this every week as well. And I think, again, some of this has come up quite naturally in the conversation, but I wonder, what are the things that bring you joy and make you happy?
I wouldn't feel churlish not to say a shower, but I loads and loads and loads of things, right? I really like cooking. That's one of the things
Do you?
Yeah, relax.
What if someone's coming around sort of short notice, what would be the Henry signature dish that you could kind of pull out with a flourish quite easily?
That's a good question. What would it be? I mean, you can't go wrong with sausages.
No, yeah.
This probably isn't the culinary depth.
Well, it depends what you do with them, I suppose, isn't it? You're making some sort of casserole or bake or with mash. Well, depends. There's good.
I would do sausages with apple and lots of herbs from the garden, and in a tray bake, and then
lovely.
Have a bit of time to hang out.
Yeah, my wife's really into tray baking at the moment. So yeah, it's a good thing. We're enjoying the tray bake. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, Henry. It's been really interesting to chat to you, and obviously to hear more about Brother Earth and all the good things that you're doing. I'm going to mention the products and the things that the other products that you referred to in the program notes, and we'll also tell people where they can find out more about Brother Earth. But look, wishing you all the very best with the business. It's doing something really important, and and crucially, it's also a really great product line that I think listeners are really going to enjoy. So thanks again. You take care, and it's been lovely to chat to you today.
Amazing. Thanks very much, Hayden.
You take care. Thanks, Henry.
Cheers, Val. Bye.
My thanks to Henry. Such an interesting conversation. And I really wanted to find out more about this area, and really grateful to Henry for shedding some light on the whole business of sustainability, and obviously how it works within male grooming and bathroom products. I think, there's some real changes that all of us can make. But as he discussed during the podcast, you want to make it as easy as possible for the consumer. That it requires, as little kind of effort to do the recycling or the reusing. So I think they've got a really some neat solution with these metal tins and solid bars, and then a recyclable card cover around the deodorant and a kind of aluminium toothpaste. Really good products, I should say. I mean, I didn't get into it too much in the podcast to spare Henry's blushes, but they are really good products. They certainly haven't scrimped at all in terms of the quality and the efficacy of the products themselves. Really good, and I've really enjoyed using them, and will certainly be reordering. So well worth investigating. And it's these little changes that we can make. And when you think about, I certainly think about the amount of plastic I use, and whether it's cooking, food stuff in the kitchen, but certainly, we can make some changes in terms of toiletries relatively easily, as Henry said. So if you want to find out more about what Brother Earth are doing, and how you can find out about the products, they're online, and their website is www.brotherearth.co. So it's brotherearth.co, and on Instagram they're at brotherearthco. So at brotherearthco on Instagram, and you can find out more about how to order, and see the product line as it stands, which is a great opening collection. So thanks to Henry, and thanks to you for listening. If you want to find out more about Man in the Mirror, you can find me at Man in the Mirror Pod on Instagram, and you'll find previous guests and more information about what's to come. So thanks for being with me this week, and thanks to Henry. I'll see you again next time. Take care.